there's still hope for peace and leadership for the X-Men to restore justice.
Everybody, we're here today with Mr. Keith Sutliff. Finally got the opportunity to catch him for this nice interview we're gonna do today. How you doing, Keith?
Doing good, man. How you doing? Good morning.
Pretty good. Had the opportunity to look you up a bit and see how impressive your background has been so far, and the projects you've had the opportunity to work on. Being an actor, director, producer, screenwriter. Usually nobody has all those titles. It's usually one or the other, right?
Yeah, man.
Now this led you into doing what we're talking about today, which is the Cyclops Chronicles, the story of Scott Summers. What led you to want to pick up this character, like, kind of this fan made, like this character in particular? Because a lot of hate for Scott out here. What made you want to do this?
Right. You know what? It came about in the beginning of the pandemic. Me and my let me turn this down. Me and my producing partner, we were just brainstorming different projects and stuff, and we came up with this idea of this. There's all these fan-based projects out there of X-Men, other X-Men characters like Gambit, Wolverine. There's Star Wars ones like Darth Maul and stuff, and they're all getting like millions and millions of views. Even more than a lot of TV shows, even. So we're talking like plus 30 plus million views for some of these fan-based projects. And anyways, the whole thing with Scott Summers, Cyclops, that's never been done before from a studio standpoint. It hasn't been done before as like an origin story, and then also even as a fan-based project. So so that's kind of, we started thinking that's, like I said, that's never been done before. So we said, hey, let's do this episodic series, fan-based, entertainment purposes only for fans and stuff. And it's free to watch. Obviously, this is for entertainment purposes only. And it's an unofficial episodic series that's going on YouTube and Vimeo and some other free sites. So that's where it came about. And there was also some people hitting me up like, hey man, you'd be good to play I could see you playing Marvel character like Scott Summers, Cyclops. So that's kind of also fueled the fire for it as well.
Now, like I said, I only had the opportunity to see, of course, the trailer that you had, that was ready. And that was really, really well shot, really well shot. I was like, oh man, it looked like I was about to watch a $100 million budget movie, right. Just from what I was able to see. Now. Or is your plan to include various other characters in this too, or is this more so going to be focused on Scott's journey? I don't know, with his touching on with his dad and his brother and stuff like that, or I'm not sure the direction that you guys want to go. Where is this going to go?
Yeah, a little bit of both. I mean, mainly focusing on Scott Summers, but there's also going to be different characters throughout the Marvel realm coming in. Within X-Men and stuff. So different X-Men characters, even have, I don't want to spoil too much about Magneto. We have some villains coming in there. And that's really showing a lot of the backstory of his character. A lot of this story I did mainly, and also my team. We did a lot of research on his backstory as far as the comic books and how he's portrayed, and then we took our own spin to it on how we thought he could be portrayed as a character. But yeah, so it's all this stuff what's seen in the series is based off the comic books. It's very accurate, and but we're also adding some stuff in there as well of our own.
Right. You plan on doing any stunts or anything like that? You'll be jumping off a cliff, so
there's some special treats in there for people. So
okay. Still kind of a stigma around fan made stuff. People kind of you especially seeing fan made trailers. That always get you. Some point when you're trying to find something. What made you, especially like I said, with the stigma of fan made stuff, kind of want to do this? Obviously there's Bat in the Sun and stuff like that, with the verses, but kind of give this a more serious approach using your medium?
Yeah. So I mean, I've come from doing feature films. I've never done episodic stuff really.
Right.
But I've done features and stuff, and this is my first like fan based project I've ever done. But it was really like us wanting to do is really us giving back to people who were even online will like research stuff, and they're like, Scott Summers and Cyclops is not shown enough in the Fox movies. It's all Wolverine. He's overshadowing him. Like he doesn't get enough screen time. He has like less than 30 minutes of screen time in the first X-Men and stuff. So we're like, you know what, this is something I like. The Cyclops character is cool. I grew up watching the animated 90s cartoon, and yeah, we want to make this as a treat to X-Men fans, Marvel fans, comic book fans, and give people what they want to see, just based on what we've read and heard from people and stuff. So that was kind of like why we want to do it. And it's a fan-based project. It's not, the studio's not involved in it at all. That's why it's a fan-based project that's the official term for entertainment purposes only.
Right.
And unofficially, just for like legal claims and stuff. And I had to run it by attorneys and stuff. But like, so that's kind of, that's what we want to do.
Yeah, you don't want no smoke from Marvel when it comes with that type of stuff, right? You got to make sure you put entertainment purposes on.
Yeah, there's in the first episode and in all the rest of episodes, there's a disclaimer in the front and also in the end, what says all that stuff in there. And if you see all the other fan based projects on like YouTube and stuff, you'll see they have that same disclaimer, like a similar disclaimer for like there's like a Darth Maul one, there's like a Gambit, there's like Obi-Wan Kenobi. There's so many different ones out there, man. Right. It's crazy. So.
Like just kind of like obviously producing and screenwriting, how has it been just kind of having more creative control over your projects, like versus like you obviously being in somebody else's stuff? What is the difference between those two?
Well, when it's your own stuff, you have a lot more leverage and a lot more freedom to do what you want.
Right.
For instance, if this was like, say this was backed by a studio or Fox or somebody, they would be all over with like what they would want and what we can and can't do with it. So it wouldn't be our interpretation as much. They would have a lot more say so on what they want. And an example is for this character, for instance, if you watch the first episode and you look at some of the comic books, not all of them, but like a good majority of them, or at least half of them,
right.
Scott Summers is this kick-ass, badass leader, man. He's muscular, chiseled, alpha male, kicks everyone's ass, takes names. He's bigger than Wolverine, or just as big as far as like a badass alpha male type of guy. And that was a complaint when people said in the movies, the Fox movies, they didn't see enough, or like it was the opposite. So Scott Summers is like this pretty boy. Now, there are some comic books where he is seen as like this pretty boy character guy, but there's also other comic books where he's got a beard, he's like Jack Chisel, he's mean. So that's kind of what we wanted to portray in this. Is the alpha male kick ass type of guy who's like a warrior who can basically kick ass and take names. So that's something we wanted to show with this, and that's something that we have creative freedom over because it's just us doing it. It's not like a studio down our necks like telling us, this is what they want.
Right. Mm-hmm. You mentioned the comic books, and obviously, not everybody grows up reading them. Are you still actively reading comics and stuff like that? Are you still into like this lore of X-Men and stuff as you go into this project?
So I grew up when I was a kid. I was like in love with Aliens versus Predator comic books, Dark Horse comics. And that was like one of my favorite things was to go to the comic book store when I was a young kid. As I got older, I fell out of that stuff. And then, when this project came along, I went to a comic book store not too far from me in Hollywood, and I started. I just bought up a whole bunch of comic books, Cyclops Origins ones, like X-Men Uncanny, X-Men Classic, or Classic X-Men, and like different ones just on Cyclops myself and X-Men. And then also like the online ebook comic book ones and stuff. And there's like a Cyclops Origins one called that. I did a lot of extensive research about it. So to make it, these episodic, the series episodes accurate. So when people watch it, they can't be like, oh, this is just made up. No, this is, if you read the comic books, this is what's in the comics. So,
Yeah, the fans are quick to check you, man. They straight down the list. Oh, that's the clothes aren't accurate. The shades that you're wearing, that's the Scott
right.
would never wear those.
Yeah, I'm used to as a filmmaker. I mean, you'll be, like any art, you'll be criticized so much, and people
Right.
will freaking dice you up in half, man. Like any piece of art. So I've been there, done that. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna make this accurate and make it, like in this first episode, it talks about this drug Banshee. And when you watch, you'll see what I'm talking about. It's in the comic books. It's this drug that enables him to have this, all the X-Men to enhance their power, but it also enables them to control their power and what they have. And they take this drug to fight off this other like mutant force in the comic books. But anyways, that's in the first episode. It talks about this drug. Anyways, but yeah.
Look, I've always been really interested in the production side of this stuff too. I mean, obviously, this isn't made in a day. How long does it usually take you to finish a project like this?
Yeah, I mean, multiple episodes. We're still filming and stuff as we go along. Right. But I mean, every episode it takes multiple days for every episode. So, but we shoot pretty quick. Man, I've been doing this for many years now, a good amount of years. So, we can film pretty quick, and I have a pretty tight team. And we're on, my cinematographer knows what I want, and vice versa. So we can camera operators. So we're able to get things done pretty quick. But yeah, so every episode's multiple days, and depending, we're trying to keep the episodes no more than 15 minutes in length for a reason.
Okay. It's all shot on the iPhone 13 Pro Max. Like,
yeah.
You don't even have the big cameras no more.
No, we have multiple cameras and stuff we can film with, but yeah.
I guess in terms of like you said, reading all the books and everything, and having people that write this, how do you kind of come to figure out what direction you want to go story wise? Because obviously you guys write your own thing. How do you decide what's like the best direction to go with, as far as the story, and kind of trying to appease the fans at the same time?
Yeah, I mean, good question. So we read, do the history on the character and the comic books and stuff, and kind of just come up with a storyline of how we want to show, like, the series of like his different parts of his life and like what happened and stuff. And then also throwing in our own stuff about it. What's not so much in the comic books, but just a timeline on like, Scott Summers in general. So, I mean, it just depends. Like in this first episode, it's kind of like launches off the whole series, and he has this Banshee drug and he tosses over this cliff. Like, what it is what it is. I have this power. I'm not going to be cured of it. It is what it is. I'm here on this planet for a reason to lead this X-Men and restore peace and stuff. Because in the comic books, he wants to be X-Men Origins comic books. He wants to be cured of the optic blast. When he's talking to Professor X about it, about seeing a surgeon to cure him of this optic blast, this power he has. So that's kind of how we took off the first episode, and then we have different chunks of his life throughout the other episodes, and then other stuff that we have put in there just on our own. So.
I mean, and obviously you can't have Scott without Jean Grey, right? Like there's got to be a Jean Grey. So I'm assuming that Jean's in the show. Okay,
he's in there. We got most people in there. We're modernizing it. Like you can only kind of like the Dark Knight, like the Batman, Chris Nolan, and some of these newer stuff coming out. Make it more relatable to how an average human would be. But I mean, you have this power, obviously.
Right.
But when you see them in the beginning, you wouldn't really suspect that. You're just like, oh, it's a normal guy. Then you find, oh, it's Scott Summers, or this is Wolverine. Versus making it so costumey and like upscale, like overdone, like not animated, not so much animated. That makes sense.
Yeah, because usually it's like a lot of focus on the costume, and like the story just gets put to the wayside. Like, hey, we got the costumes right. Don't worry about what the story is like.
Yeah, no, that's right. No.
And I can already tell just from the preview, like that you guys are gonna have the visual effects down packed. And I don't know if you're doing like the editing for that, or you have a team that does like your FX, so they call it like
right. Visual effects. Yeah, I have a guy who does that, and he's a really good job. So that stuff's so time consuming, man. Like the making.
I know.
You'll see in the first episode, you see his eyes flash and stuff.
Yeah.
Well, but anyways, when you see the first episode, you see what I'm talking about. But all that stuff is like frame by frame, and it's very time consuming. So you really have to hire, a specialist for some of these things. So
I guess I got one last question for you.
Yeah.
What's after this, after the Cyclops Chronicles, is there any preview as to what we're going to be getting that you're going to be tackling next that you can talk about?
Yeah, I'm actually I'm doing another TV series right now. What's going straight to VOD, like subscription VOD, and
Okay.
also transactional VOD on like Amazon and different iTunes and different platforms. It's called Suke City, and that's an episode too, about 25-minute episodes, and that's coming out this summer. So and that's ongoing as well. So we're filming that, and that's coming out, and yeah, that's what I'm working on now. And I'm also doing some gigs on like Lifetime and stuff. I did a movie with Rampage Jackson recently, and what's Anderson Silva, those MMA guys. So I'm doing my own content, and I'm also filming other people's projects.
Gotta work and pay them bills, man. Gotta work. So when can the fans expect to see Cyclops Chronicles officially?
Yep. First episode will be releasing next month, end of next month.
So you heard it here, folks. Heard it here first, folks. We're gonna get it Cyclops in April. Chris, Keith, I really appreciate you doing this interview with us. I really appreciate taking this time out of your day, giving me more insight of what we're going to be looking forward to with this amazing series so far. Keep up the good work. I see a lot of the stuff you've been doing, man. I don't know how you have the time to do it all.
Dude, I'm exhausted, man. Like constantly, I'm exhausted now. I'm like every day is just like gets overwhelming, but I don't know. I'm happy with what we have and things are getting done, and people support so far has gotten good feedback, at least with the Cyclops and the Suke City series I'm doing. And I can show you, I can see that too. That first episode and the screeners and stuff.
Okay.
Like the trailers for that. Everyone's liking it so far for everything what we're doing. So that's what means the most to me as an artist and a filmmaker and an actor is that people are watching the content and they enjoy it and they want to see more.
Definitely. Well, thank you, Keith, again for doing this with us. And we appreciate you. Hope we can get you next time for that Suke City.
Sir, it's an honor, man. Definitely check out Cyclops Chronicles, the story of Scott Summers, coming out next month. It's a treat for all you fans, X-Men fans, comic book fans, Cyclops fans. This is the origin story. So
get ready. And we'll see you.
Later.